Hello and welcome back to the HHGaming Podcast, brought to you by Hellhades.com. Today we are joined not only by co-host of the show, Paul or Saphira, but by Skratch as well, who many of you guys will know from the raid community, but we actually went on Skratch's channel earlier this week and did a video. So if you haven't checked that out, the links will be down in the description. But Skratch actually works alongside us at HHGaming as well as a part of our takeovers team. So he's kind of been an integral part of it, not only doing takeovers, but also helping us out with content for Diablo Immortal, amongst other things over the years. So it's nice to actually be able to get Skratch on the podcast and talk about some things going on in Raid. How's everyone's week been?
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
If See you jumps in first.
I'll jump in first. Yeah, week is pretty good. Already Friday is going like super quick, man.
The week's disappearing.
It's been stressful, hasn't it, though? So much news, so much features, so much drops, and it's all come through in like drips and drabs. It's like, I've just finished the update video. Oh, there's another update. Let's go again.
I know. I think this was the first week when I actually had like five videos dropping in one day, you know? I feel like the people that they got the notification Skratch uploaded, they hated me that day, you know? They were like, damn, this guy, you know, what is he doing?
Someone in our Discord channel literally put a comment saying, you can tell Hellhades is back because the Hellhades YouTube channel is going mental. And it's like, video.
Yeah, it was just going
new
nuts.
Promo codes, new updates, new announcements, summon announcements. It's been a great. I mean, it's good that we get so much added to the game, you know, and all these new features. It would just be great if we could maybe get the announcements in like a bit more of a bulk warning rather than like, here, have a sentence and here, have another sentence in like 2-hour gaps. But
yeah, you make a video and by the time that you've rolled out that video, you need to start making the next video because more news has been chucked out there.
Exactly. So should we talk about the patch? I think that's probably what everyone's talking about, the fusion schedule, the Forge Pass. These are the things that people want to know about and want our thoughts probably.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, let's have a brief conversation, I guess, about the fusion. Probably the least important thing on anyone's minds right now, especially seeing the calendar that they've released for this thing. What's your thoughts?
I mean, for me, this fusion hybrid model that they've got where you do half fragment and half summon traditional shouldn't happen unless the champion is like god tier. Yeah. Because it is so difficult in terms of like, you know, with a fragment collector, you can normally skip a few tournaments. With a traditional fusion, they normally stick the epic as like the final summon reward or something, so you can skip a whole like chunk of rares. With this model, like the way that they've structured it, you can't skip anything. It's so unfair.
Yeah. No time.
Yeah, I'm personally not a fan of the system either. Like hybrid fusions, I don't like them. If the main fusion was a Theodore or something like that, I could have seen myself doing it. You know, like
Theodore's great.
I would have been like, yeah, let's do it, guys. You know, I know it's very hard, but the reward is actually worth it. Same like it was with Brogni. I think Brogni was the very first fusion that we had on this kind of like on this sort of system. And yeah, it's worth it to do it for a champion like that. But when you have an average champion that is good for the Scarab and it's just an ally attack champion, you know, I feel like, hell no. So this is probably one of the fusions that I'm intentionally going to skip just because I want to save my shards for guaranteed events in case if Theodore knocks at my door as a guaranteed from Sacred, especially because it's so expensive to buy the Sacreds, right? I remember I had to do it for Wither, you know, and it was like $200 to $300 to get the Sacreds to get the guaranteed champion, and it's definitely not good, you know, like way too expensive.
You feel bad. I did it for Necro. You feel bad.
I felt very bad doing it. Like, I had to do it, but I felt so bad doing it. Like, you have no idea.
In the back of your mind, you're like, you know, it's good for content, tax write-off, you know, all these different things. Exactly, but in the front of your mind, you're like, I feel so socially irresponsible promoting or even showing this off on. Like, I feel like I need to find a room and have a good talk to myself about how to behave properly because it's so expensive.
Mag myself, because I'm always saying, don't buy Sacreds. You know, that's kind of like the motto. Don't buy Sacreds.
Yeah. And I mean, one thing I would note, I don't know if anyone caught it, but we recently added a connection to Smiley TK's channel where he does, you know, Smiley pretty much does a pack offer breakdown for everything that comes out. It's really good, to be fair, because it helps you understand, you know, is this pack worth it? and I didn't realize they had added another of those like per level packs. Now, normally those per level packs are rubbish. You get them in the like where you buy the gem pack.
Yep.
And you look at them once and you think, oh, that's like 50 quid for like one shard. No thanks, I'll pass. But apparently they've added a new one for I think about $100. So obviously, that's a lot of money for a lot of players. But anyone who spends any kind of significant amount of money probably has spent that much on a weekend before. But you get like 2 sacred shards, you get like 2,500 gems, you get a barrel, you get a feast. I mean, it's actually quite good. I didn't even know about it.
Yeah,
I didn't even know about it. So
I've seen it on Smiley's channel actually yesterday.
I guess the cool thing about that is that there's no rush on it. Like it's there for forever. So if you do decide that you don't necessarily want it now, but you can see the value in it, you can always pick it up at a later date. You don't have to have that sort of urge that, oh, if I don't spend this money right now, then I'm going to be in trouble or whatever. So I think that it is nice that they're putting in more packs like that. I'll be honest. I mean, we mentioned it when we were talking about this pack popping up. I actually forgot that a lot of these packs even existed.
Because it was so bad.
Well, but as well as that, I wailed out or actually during my 24-hour stream, I had people from the community basically wailing out on my account, and they purchased every pack in the game so that I could even carry on and push to 24 hours. I will say, guys, anyone who didn't catch that, it was for charity. So although my account did benefit, the entire stream was for charity, and we raised nearly £5,000 for charity that day. So that was cool. But so I haven't had those packs for so long. It's like I forgot they even existed.
I don't even look at them because, like everyone knows, you don't buy them because they're so bad for in terms of offers available. You can get so much better offers apart from the gem pack, of course, which is the best thing in the game. But yeah, that on the point of buying sacred shards, that'll be like the only situation when they do them at Christmas time, and you can get 2 sacred shards for 10 quid or something.
Yeah.
Or in the monthly pack, because I think the monthly pack, considering
Black Friday, there's usually a good offer as well.
Yeah, but the whole buy 3 sacreds for $90, nah, you're all right. It's just as bad as a silver pack.
I'm watching you guys. I'm watching you. If you're purchasing that, no, those are bad. I'm purchasing the monthly pack, but that's kind of it has a lot of stuff in it: gems, energy, voids, ancients. Exactly. That's actually the only thing that I'm purchasing monthly. And now I'm gonna have to get a Forge Pass, which probably we're gonna get to cover it in a second. But I feel like that's kind of my spend. I'm not even purchasing the energy anymore and stuff because I feel like I'm not getting any value whatsoever back.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem with late accounts, right? I mean, you can run Fire Knight 200. I ran all of Times 2 Savage. I don't actually think I did about 10,000 tournament points. I don't know how much energy I spent in the end. But I don't think I got anything. I don't think I returned back with, I've just upgraded my account because I managed to get another crit damage gloves. I just sold most of it. It's good silver, but
that's about it, yeah.
So I mean, I think that's probably an ideal sort of segue into the value of things that you buy. The Forge Pass, which obviously just went live today, and along with it, it brings a new set into the game, which has the potential to really shake up, especially the PvP scene. Now, obviously, Skratch, you've got a lot of experience within the PvP side of the game, probably more so than the two of us combined together with your Platinum experience. So how do you feel like this set, one, if people want to be serious in the game, what value do you see the Forge Pass being? But how do you see this set impacting the PvP scene in the game?
So let's jump with the set affecting the PvP. I think it's gonna affect the entire PvP. Even now, literally, it's been probably 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Somebody writing a message in my Discord, guys, what's happening? I found this in arena. We can now remove the shield, and it's not even platinum arena. And it's is this even possible? Yeah, and it's it's the new Forge Pass. So it's gonna affect arena because a lot of people won't be aware of it. A lot of people won't purchase the Forge Pass, and a lot of people will kind of have the benefit of having that shield. Now, considering that we already have the stone skin in, which can be removed, cannot be removed, in Platinum Arena, what's going to happen? People are going to mix up everything, So now you actually have more things to bring into the fight. I like the idea of having a set like this. I prefer having sets that are like this, knowing that, okay, I cannot remove the shield, so I got to find different methods to go around, bring champions that ignore shield or do something else. because it's not RNG in the fight, because it's guaranteed you cannot remove it. But when you have things like Swift Parry, Stone Skin, that's 50% chance to proc, 50% chance not. That's not as fun anymore, because even if you bring the right counter to it, it can happen that it's still not gonna be as efficient to actually get rid of those sets. So the shield set, I think, is gonna be a pretty powerful new set for Arena, especially for high-end Arena. Yeah.
Because I think, like, I made a comment on it in the Forge Pass video that I have coming out in a couple of hours, talking about the impact of it. It might actually force people to bring back things like the Shield Bearer Mastery. Because if you can't remove the shield, then obviously you need to kill through it. Well, we all kind of dropped the Shield Bearer Mastery when we realized, and they made the change that it only increased the damage against the shield component. Well, that's irrelevant then if you just buff strip the shield, right? Or, if the shield's really small. What if you've got like a 3-turn Giga protected shield you can't do anything about? Well, you might think, well, perhaps I need to bring back the Shield Bearer Mastery again. So it is going to change. Like you said, like I don't really do Platinum meta, but I up in like Gold 3, Gold 2, 3v3. And I do think it's going to have quite a big impact, because I still think a lot of players don't have an awful lot of Stone Skin to throw about. You probably got like the high-end players that have been doing Nightmare week in, week out, that are probably like, in your position, I'm guessing you do Nightmare Hydra, you're probably sitting on a much more comfortable pool of Stone Skin that you can build out more champions. But I'd imagine most people are stuck on maybe one good Stone Skin team.
Yeah, probably. Like we've been doing in my clan, so the very first week, we killed all 3 of them. The second week, I think we haven't killed hard. But from the third week up to today, we're killing 3 difficulties, 1 king each one of them. So I'm getting all the chests, as maximum rewards. Yeah.
Do you feel like we're going to get enough of this set in the Forge Pass to actually make it a real impact?
That's the thing, you see. So the good part about this set is that it's much easier to get good pieces. If you're thinking about Savage, crit damage, when you're purchasing a gear set like that, you gotta hit the perfect rolls. You need crit rate, crit damage, attack, or defense, or HP, and it's so hard to hit all these substats on a piece. And that's why buying speed gear is much better than actually buying Savage, because you need speed,
That's all you need.
That's why you need. And on
this is nice, but you need speed.
This as well is a 4-piece, so even if you're not going to hit on the bottom pieces to be HP, you're going to hit on the top pieces, and you're going to have a very high chance of actually getting a decent set out of it. My only problem is I've seen the previous set that they've done. That was a set that it didn't really affect anything, right? It was a bit of speed, a bit of...
it was kind of a crossover, didn't really have a place, did it?
Exactly. It still doesn't have a place. It might be decent for progression for people that purchase that stuff early on and they didn't actually have a chance to farm the dungeons, but that's going to drop off pretty quick all around from their kit, because it's not a powerful set. But that was not something that's going to make a difference from player to player. Now, this set, on the other hand, if it's only going to come in as well for 2 different seasons, like the previous one, some people might get very unlucky and not really get a good set or two good sets, So I feel like it might need to be added on to the Forge Pass multiple times. So if you only do it 2 times to the Forge Pass or you're moving on to a new set, they gotta find a way in how we can actually get these new sets. So including the free-to-play players can actually get better quality from these sets, not only the top pieces at the Forge Pass. So either they bring them in the Doom Tower, or they gotta do something on how we can actually collect those, or maybe in tournaments, or
I feel like we're starting
events,
I feel like we're starting to see a bit of a running trend with the Forge Pass where it will almost work in a bit of a cycle. I think eventually, once they've rolled out these sets a few times, they'll revert back and start working through it again. It does, however, mean that unfortunately we're going to have to go through the bad sets to be able to get back to these guys again.
Well, one thing they have changed in this season, which I didn't really cover in the video because I'd recorded it yesterday and I obviously didn't know the changes. They have tweaked the free pass a little bit. So I think they've basically given free players about 50% more crafting. So in the like Forge Pass Season 1 and Season 2, you could make 10 of the 5 to 6 stars. Now you can make 15. I think they've almost like nearly doubled the amount of rare components you get. So for in terms of how many pieces you can make in one season, I think you're going to get around about 200 to 205 5 to 6 star, which is what players like me and Skratch will only make 5 to 6 star. We don't really care about the rest. So we can make about 205 pieces. Now the good thing with Forge rarity charms, like, you know, it's like the reason why Perception is so good isn't necessarily because it's the best set in the game. It's because it gives you good stats in an easy, accessible way in which you can control the stats somewhat, because you can control how rare it is. You can control somewhat what the primary stat, what the substat will be, because the substat charms are not too bad. So if you want, for example, HP percentage, you just slam on HP percentage substat. That way you force the stat you want, because that's all you really care for the shield more than anything else is HP. If it's got HP on it, it's good. If it hasn't got HP on it, you probably sell it because it's just not right, you know.
Sure.
But I think as well they've slightly tweaked the improvements for Elite. I think we get a few rank 6 glyphs now in the new pass, which we didn't get before. I think the primary stats. The rest of it's pretty much the same, unfortunately, and the missions are still pretty uncomfortably boring. But for me personally, I would even go as far as to say that if you play any form of competitive PvP in any manner,
or
even
intend
if it's just
to in the future,
even if it's just 3v3, I think this is a mandatory buy to some extent, because the set is so powerful. It forces you to run a different strategy. Basically, when you see it, you know, it's better than Stone Skin to some extent, in the sense that you don't have that RNG. So going into it, you know, right? I don't know about you, Skratch. The biggest problem with Shield is it's useless on defense, because, you know, if you run someone like a Krisk on defense, it kind of fell out of the meta because you could just remove the shield and then that was all the strength kind of gone. And it was the same with Shield set. You basically lost a 4-piece set bonus if you got buff strip. Well, now that can't happen, but you also get some self-healing. So your shield champion is less of a burden to your team. And because obviously the shield is grown by your own HP, that 10% is almost like getting a double benefit, because he's going to have high HP as well. So these kind of sets that can survive are so much more valuable than some sort of sets that you just remove or eradicate completely. Yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Anyway, I think the Forge Pass it's quite interesting how I think the opinion will change from Forge Pass was terrible to Forge Pass is actually quite good. Now the set is actually quite good.
Yeah, it definitely makes a massive difference. And how you mentioned, it's kind of like a mandatory thing if you care about arena and stuff like this. Or even if you're not the biggest fan of arena, you know, you're still gonna have to progress in 3v3 on your normal arena to get the missions done. And this set is actually gonna help you a lot on go second teams as well, because through you have the stone skin available, or you might not have it available, but this set as well is gonna enable you better teams as go second, you know, because you know that shield is there and they're not going to one-shot you. They're not going to be able to remove it from you. So that definitely allows you to create kind of like different strategies for go second teams as well. You know?
So as like a lowly new player like myself, maybe, what type of teams is this really going to impact? Because like you guys say, you know, it's going to really impact these teams, but like, give me some examples, I guess, of the setups or comps and things like that you're going to be seeing using this gear.
So just before you actually cover teams, the one thing I would say about a mid-game player, this is going to give you access to 5 and 6 star quality gear if you buy it, that you're probably going to struggle to get until you start getting to higher dungeons. So even if you put the set bonus aside for now, the Forge Pass at, like, I think it's what, $18, $17, $20, something of that window.
70, yeah, actually £17, so around $20 then.
Yeah, it's going to give you essentially the ability to craft 200 pieces of 5 to 6 star quality gear. That's a lot of energy effectively that you're saving from not farming the dungeons. Okay, the set might not give you the speed you need or something, but in terms of just being in that mid-game stage where you're less concerned about min-maxing and getting the right set, and you're more interested in sort of getting the right just stats on your champion, well, that's great. Like that can't be undervalued in that sense. Before you start even thinking about using the set, just getting access to the quality of gear is quite big. But Skratch will probably know more about teams than I will, because he's more of the genius when it comes to PvP.
I want to know what Skratch is going to be scared of wearing this gear.
So probably my opinion, I feel like the best thing would be a Mountain King on it, just because he's gonna get to smack as well to do damage, you know. So he's gonna be
that's horrendous.
If he's gonna be on that shield, and Krisk as well, again, he could come back in the meta as an idea because you're going to strip out the shield that he has, but his passive is still going to be great with the defense down, attack down, depending if they're going to run immunity or they're not going to run immunity when they're attacking, you know? I feel like champions that land either an increased defense or champions that have an ally protection or something activated from their passive, like think about Seeker, Kyoku, those could be potentially decent champions for it as well. Not only in terms of defense, but offense-wise as well, because that shield is still gonna be there to protect you. Plus, you're getting that increased defense, so it's not gonna break the shield maybe, or it's still gonna keep you alive in case if they're breaking the shield, you know, and they don't remove it, you know.
I think the one thing to note as well, if anyone isn't aware, just because of Snick Track coming out, Snick Track might bring into question some Go Second Reflect options with him specifically.
Yeah.
When you're shielded, Reflect doesn't work. So just keep that in mind if anyone is thinking about using that with any sort of like war chief or thinking, oh, can I reflect lots of damage? It won't work on the shield component. It's a bit buggy. I wish they'd change it, to be honest. But yeah, I think like just now thinking on it with Mountain King, he's already a bit of a pain, you know, if he gets going, but you put like massive HP on him, put him in a bolster set, and then you give him the masteries where he can self-heal when he kills an enemy and he gets that self-healing back. He's going to be very difficult to kill unless you don't one-shot him. Yeah. Because again, you can't remove the shield. So if you think he starts at 100,000 HP and then you put a 30,000 shield on him, he's got 130,000 effective HP. So he's getting 30% more survivability, in a better word. Sure. You have to breach to be able to kill him. And he was already, I would say, some well-built Mountain Kings. Like I'm talking top 400 platinum. There were some champions that can't even one-shot him. So if he's already at that point, and you then put a shield on him, oh lordy lord!
How much HP?
Mountain King will be disgusting, and just you have that shield on him, okay, and then think about you give him some reaction as well. So even if he's gonna get damaged, or even if they bring a sniper in to try to kind of like ignore the shield and just one-shot him, you know, with a single hit, like. Bring in somebody like Faceless, for example, right? Or you bring an Inquisitor Shamael, or you bring in a Blood.
Boy Phoenix.
Or Phoenix, you know. You give him reaction and bang, bang, nothing happens. And then he claps you. Or you give him 2 reactions and you give him a counter-attack accessory as well. So time to time, that 5 or 10% chance comes in play and bang, he smacks you here and there, you know. So it can be tons of fun. Jack on that set would be nice too, with some accuracy, making you drop all the buffs that you're having, then having a different champion in there to debuff. Yeah. There will be quite a few nice options for it, for sure.
I'm thinking now, I could actually run a Kyoku Martyr double Mountain King. That sounds like fun, doesn't it? Everyone wants that.
Sounds disgusting.
That sounds like a great team to fight. But that's it. Like, that's the thing, because there you go. A viewer in chat has just gone, I've got 138,000 shield set Mountain King. Now he's got 138,000 potentially bolster shield set if he gets reasonably good gear. Obviously, if you're building a damage dealer with the bolster, you do need better gear.
It's
that's the only consideration.
A bit,
But again, like I think 200 pieces, like I think you could probably knock together a good quality set from 200 pieces if you use the Forge Charms. Like if you've got the rarity and the rank up and the right substat charms for all of them, that's the key thing.
Yeah.
You can do that. And you can do some little quirky, clever things, like if you're trying to get crit damage, gloves in bolster, we'll put gloves as the primary and put crit rate as the substat. So you kind of almost like give yourself the best opportunity to get crit rate. I do that a lot with lethal because savage, crit damage, gloves with crit rate is like one of the hardest things that I have to get hold of. So just doing that combination can be really good. So I think I don't think it's too difficult in one season to get at least one solid set together. You've got champions like it might bring Asuga more back into the meta. You already have that passive. You put in, she was already pretty good for Guardian. You put in a bolster now on her HP base. It's solid, because she's going to absorb a lot of that damage herself as well. So she'll help even, give your team even more.
So a lot of the champions that you're talking about there are obviously legendary champions. But what epics do you think this could dramatically impact? Because the thing is, a lot of the general player base isn't lucky enough to have accounts like ours, which you can literally pick up whatever legendary you want to and slap this gear on.
Well, obviously we mentioned Seeker. That's kind of like the budget version. Well, that was the original version of Kyoku before they released Kyoku. So you could run like a Seeker or Sandlashed kind of team. I think Demitha might be might be an interesting champion. I've been trying to get a dupe Demitha because obviously if you get a Demitha, she's probably going in your clan boss team. I've been trying to get one as a duplicate in a high resist kind of build. The A2 is kind of a mental heal. You obviously get the extend buffs as well. We don't know whether you can extend the bolster buff. That's something we need to test. I tried to get a piece, didn't. So if anyone's tested it already, that'd be interesting.
Doesn't
to know.
it say in the tooltip that it can't be extended, or am I imagining?
Usually they don't say anything about it. Like
no.
when I've seen Gamuran right as a champion, and that's been before before Stone Skin got released, and I was like, okay, this champion, man, wow, what I'm gonna do with this champion? That's how I was thinking already. I'm gonna put him on Stone Skin, make him fast, spread the Stone Skin to my entire team, and be like, wow, like do crazy stuff. Well, that didn't work either, and
can't spread Stone Skin, right?
Exactly. You cannot spread it, extend it, or anything crazy like that.
I mean, it doesn't even say in the game that you can extend, that you can't extend unkillable. It doesn't say anywhere. We just know that it doesn't. I don't think it says it anywhere.
I don't think it says it anywhere actually, because I know I've tried ages ago. I've tried it, and I don't think I've seen anything about it actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Be interesting to have a look at that then.
I mean, I've looked at the code, and it's literally called Shield Set 2.0 in the internal coding. So
you think it's going to behave the same as Shield Set, effectively?
I mean,
Shield.
I'll be honest. I can tell you exactly how we've developed this set. We've gone copy, paste, put protection mode on, give 10% heal, job done. New set.
Good job, guys. We did it.
It works.
Probably.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm going to try and get it today and give it a bit of a test. Vogoth is a great option. It's been
absolutely Vogoth as well. Yeah.
Insane epic. Trying to think of all the epic champions we've
even
had.
A Magnar could potentially work if you have decent damage from
Vasolf. Magnar or Vasolf as a damage dealer. They're pretty. Vasolf is a little bit better than Magnar. Just is more setup. Magnar just works.
Yeah, that's the thing with him, because it's more kind of like needy. You gotta do.
Well, we've got Resurgence still, haven't we? It's the same problem with Ruel. I've been messing around now that they've got hex changes with Mithrala and Ruel, and the amount of times my Mithrala would 3%, or the amount of times Resurgent would proc, and just it's just a bit of a nightmare trying to get that hex to stay on all 4 people, because once you lose the 1 hex, the damage goes down the toilet a little bit. So yeah, Magnar is better than Vasolf in the sense that you just press A2 and go, but technically Vasolf does a little bit more damage. I think it's like 0.2. I'm trying to think what other epics that would be interesting on.
I have one, but it's something like, guys, don't try it at home. This is probably the most OP epic that we actually have in the entire game, and it's funny enough because nobody ever talks about him. I feel sad that nobody talks about the Torv the Maimed, but he's absolutely a beast, and him on this set will destroy like his skill, his A2, man. Is like wow, like
resets
wow.
Yeah.
I'm just messing. Don't do it, guys.
You're gonna get hate threads for that.
You say that, but actually, Tolf is not as like. The problem with Tolf is he doesn't finish the job on his own, but he does put everyone at HP at 50%, irrespective of anything. So if you've got a really tanky Duchess, you just get put at 50% HP. So a similar example I've had with that is Nogdar. If you do Nogdar with A2 and he takes a little bit of a tickle of a damage, and then you A3 a full HP Duchess, it puts him on like 1% HP, and it basically puts the enemy Duchess on 1 HP, and you just come along then and pop her. So you can do some clever things, but the problem with Tolf is he just doesn't do a secondary thing. Whereas someone like Nogdar, obviously he self-revives, he does a lot of damage on the AoE A2, he also does continuous heals, and he also has that A1 extra hit. So it's kind of like, I know you're jesting and you're joking, but I mean, he's HP based. Literally, if anyone has got a 24 or 23k base HP, you put bolster set on them, your team is probably in most, I would say, anywhere from the last 10% of goal 5 down is probably going to struggle to one-shot your team, because it is just a lot of effective HP on a HP-based champion.
Miscreated Monster coming out to play again then?
They're going to be good for this. Like, Torf, he does have a decent amount of HP, but the thing is, out of all the champions that are available in the game, like I could get better rares to do some of the job if I have available anyone else to kind of like get the shield set to carry it, Miscreated Monster, very good option as well for it. you want him for arena just to help you out a bit and stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The only thing you've got to be careful of if you bring another shield champion is you don't override your protected shield with a better duration.
Oh, true.
Because the shield will not, I don't think it will respect the protection status. If it's a longer duration or an even duration with a greater shield, it will just replace it. So you're thinking it's only 3 turns. If you take a turn, then obviously any 2-turn shield, if it's of a greater value, will end up replacing it. You don't necessarily want to do that. I mean, it's not always terrible. So someone like Brogni, for example, because that's a replacement protected shield, that's not a terrible problem to bring him. I think shield bolster set Brognis are probably going to be in the mix somewhere, I would have thought. There's that high elf that's like a mini Necra as well, but she has to take a turn, right? She could be interesting to use. I don't know how. Like I've been trying to get her to play around with her because I know she's not as. I mean, let's be honest, she's nowhere near as good as Necra.
No, I mean she's still a decent champion though.
But that could be interesting if you can get her to that point of taking a second turn because of the bolster set. That might bring her into the mix a bit. So there's certainly lots of different options. I definitely think Krisk is going to make an appearance now because if you can run, like even if you run a bolster champion alongside the Krisk and put the Krisk in like a protection shield, so you get like a double shield, double protected, that could be interesting. And I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, just as context, because I think a lot of people don't know this, if you run a shield set or an artifact shield set, with the exception of Blood Shield, and then a skill shield, someone who applies a shield, they can stack. They can work together. So Krisk's shield, because it's a skill, will stack with a shield set. Blood Shield is coded as like a skill, so it doesn't work the same way. So you got to be careful with Blood Shield.
Awesome.
Just a little technical note.
So,
there.
I mean, I guess the overall impression is at the moment we've got 2 events going on. We've got Forge Pass and Fusion. I think it's safe to say that if you are willing to spend in the game, probably better off spending your time on the Forge Pass, especially if you intend on doing anything with PvP later on in the game. Fusion, I honestly think it's probably going to be the least fused Fusion champion in a very long time, purely because he just feels like a very dated champion. He feels old. He doesn't really fit into the game anywhere right now. That being said, chances are Polarium are going to pull something out the bag and drop like the biggest buff in the world to him the week after he's fused, and it turns out he's the rarest champion in the game because nobody else has got him.
Well, let's just talk about the irony there, right? Just to interject a sec. So, Andrew, what's his name? Lana Farrell's A2 shield. That protected element, you need to kill your own ally to do it. And then they go and release a set that basically is protected from the outset. And then they release a Skinwalker that, if there's any leech out there, it's a protected shield. So it kind of makes you wonder, like, they clearly know that there's a better way of doing this. If that, like, A2 on the Fusion was something like, if the shield is placed on an ally on full HP or maybe half HP, that shield's protected, then the conversation is actually much better because now we can get a champion that can do a protected shield like Brogni. It'll be a pretty decent protected shield, and it might have some arena playability. But in its current form, it's a glorified. It's just so difficult to find a situation where it's a bit like Gerda Brogbrew. I always go back to Gerda Brogbrew because the kit just doesn't make sense. Half her kit is disabled by enabling the other half of the kit. And it's kind of like that similar concept where I have to negatively impact the champion or the team to get the thing to work. Whereas some elements where it relies on things like, someone like Titus, well, that's not a problem because actually the whole point of everyone being dead is he's going to kill everyone to start with. He's not used because it's still quite awkward to pull off. But at least like the concept is like, I'm sacrificing my allies to make myself stronger. Where her kit is like, I need to sacrifice an ally so I can make the shield better. Like, well, it's too late because the ally's already dead. So what's the point? And I've heard people say, oh, well, it's better in Hydra. I'm like, yeah, but if you're losing allies in Hydra, that means you're starting to fall apart, and that means you're in trouble. Unless you are like deliberately letting them die for like the consumption counter, but then that's normally followed up instantly by a revive, so you get your cooldowns back. I often let like I'm not a Nightmare Hydra player, and I'm only learning to get up there, but I often let like my Husk or my Royal Guards kill themselves on the Reflect of Suffering, so I don't have to deal with the consumption. And then Duchess just comes along and revives them back up, and off we go again. but you wouldn't want to leave that for too long because your cooldowns fall out of sync and then you get into trouble. So yeah, I just think that Lonathar, it feels like 12 months late. So, and I think you tie it with the worst fusion schedule and you make everyone pull shards for both milestones on the summon events and have to do all the tournaments and have to do all of the events as well, pretty much, because I think you can only really skip the champion training or the dungeon divers. It's just a recipe for failure because people are going to look at it and go, nah. You know? I mean, people will go, well, why do I need an ally attack?
Well, we could spend some of the time that we're not doing the
exactly.
fusion working on the Tolarian trials.
Oh, don't.
Yeah, that's another huge thing. Like, I see the champion only as an ally attack, honestly. I kind of like skip the rest of the part. I see him as a champion good for the Scarab King. It's not the best for the Scarab King. Some people might have Vergis. It's kind of like at the same level. Some people might not have him. Some people have Skull Lord. Some people have Euros. A lot of people don't have this champion. So if I'm looking from that perspective, I can see, yeah, this champion can help you. You can pull tons of shards. Maybe you're never gonna pull a Vergis, or you're not gonna pull a Vergis for the next 1 year, or a different champion that's required for you to do Scarab, and it's kind of like holding you back. So then, yeah, I can see go and fuse him. He's gonna help you there. As long as you don't need any of these things, I totally agree. Like, is a waste, especially considering that the resources that you gotta invest in it are so damn
legendary
extreme,
books.
because you cannot skip anything just to.
It's the time as well, yeah. It's the time investment that you're going to have to put into it.
Just doing the fusion, you cannot skip on anything. Like,
yeah.
With the normal fusion, I skip one of the summoning events, because I don't want to summon every time, because I just don't have the chance to do it. So now we cannot do that because we're going to have to literally be on point with everything. So
and it's actually egregious, because if you look at the things you can skip, they've put so you can basically skip 15 fragments on the epics, and the only places they've put the 15 fragments is mostly the arena tournaments. And it's like, but the arena tournaments are like,
they're the easy
I
ones.
did that.
Yeah.
So it's like they know they've deliberately built the system, or whether they've done it on purpose or whether they've done it subconsciously, to make it so that you can't skip anything, because they could have put the 15 in place of the 20 so that you had flexibility. So you could skip a tournament maybe, or you could skip one of the training events or one of the dungeon divers. You're going to have to do all the artifact enhancements as well. So every couple of days, it's like every 6 days, you're going to have to drop another 20 million silver potentially. So it's like, you'd hope you get the silver back, but jeepers, guys, like,
nope.
This champion needs to be well worth the effort.
Yeah.
And it's not even once you've got the champion, then to make him work in Scarab King, you've got to book him.
Mm-hmm.
So
I made it without books. So
you can solo, right? Yeah. So sorry, I was thinking with the team.
I soloed it without books. I haven't booked the champion at all. I took him in the Dragon, took him in the Fire Knight. It helps you with the ally attack. Now, unbooked is not going to be a massive game changer because of with the ally attack.
Cooldown, right?
Luckily, we have the team preset, so if you really gotta do the missions to beat 10 times this dungeon, you can do the preset, so he can only use the A3 when he gets at the boss and set it up however you want to use it after the third turn, the second, whatever. That can actually help you beat, like, especially the Fire Knight is a bit harder than the Dragon. For the Dragon, it's not going to be a necessity to have him on your team, but that's about it,
Yeah. I mean, so if Playroom would ever watch this, they probably never will. You basically can make 3 changes, and this champion goes from probably one of the worst legendaries we've had all year to maybe one of the better ones. You'd basically make his A1, instead of it being based on damage, just remove like a flat percentage of the max HP, maybe 5%. A bit like the way that Skull Lord's passive work, right? He gets attacked, he takes 5% off. You then make his A2 the same as it is, but instead of it being a dead ally, you would basically say, if the ally has max HP, the shield's protected. Or if it's half HP, the shield's protected. Whichever way you'd want to do it. I think max HP works better. I'd put increased defense on the ally attack, because we don't have an increased defense ally attacker. And then I would change the passive to be reduces incoming damage to allies who are under a shield by 20%. And then, instead of you got in this weird thing where it's like, oh, well, he deals damage, but he doesn't, and he's an ally attacker, but he actually doesn't really contribute much. You've now got the only increased defense ally attacker. He is a solution for Scarab Boss. It doesn't require you to build damage, so it's not taking forever. And you've got a pretty competitive shield you can use in Arena that's also going to give you a mini strengthen as well. Then you've got a champion. Then it's good. Then it's worth the effort. But in his current form, he's a glorified shield with an ally attack. Yeah. And the ally attack isn't even that good when you compare it to Longbeard or Cardiel. Obviously, legendary champions. I'm not saying that. But, I mean, even in Arena, you think Kreela, if you did the fusion back in the day, is probably a better champion for ally attack because it's a stun. Farrakhan
is the stun, increase crit rate, increase attack, So
yeah, she brings more to the fight.
Exactly. That and Farrakhan is just like god tier champion compared to him. It's still an ally attack. A lot of people might not have ally attack, so the thing is with those people that they don't have these champions and they're kind of like early on to progression, it's gonna be so hard for them to complete this fusion. That
is it actually worth it?
Worth the effort, It's not worth the effort. And I see a question here: if we think he's gonna get a rework, so just following patterns from the past 3 to 4 years since the game is out, it takes them a very long time to even considering buffing old fusions. So far, if I'm not mistaken, the only fusions that got buffed was having what's his name, Shamrock. That was the second fusion that we ever had in the game, right? So that is a very old one. And thinking about it, I'm trying to think if we had another one.
Pixniel.
Pixniel, yeah. Pixniel is the second one.
Yeah.
It was not quite a buff, but they reworked Tormin 12 times or something.
Yeah, but that was more towards nerfing Tormin and Rotos. They kind of nerfed them a lot of times,
I think they may have done some tweaks to some of the the base stats or something to some of the earlier champions as well in the fusion. I can't remember which ones, but
I'm thinking of Cillian the Lucky. He's kind of
he's
rubbish.
never had
he didn't have anything done, and all these champions. So I feel like the chances for it to have Gerptek actually got a bit of a change.
Well, they reduced his poisons, right? Yeah, they just reduced the poisons he applied to the team, so it was half the damage. But,
so it doesn't kill your team.
It's more of a fix than a rework.
I would say though, they are doing more rebalances, and Jingwon did get a pretty quick rework. Even though I don't think necessarily the rework made him significantly better, it did make him somewhat useful from being, why did they even make this champion? But again, Jingwon's a Void Legendary, so he has like this kind of, Void Legends have like a golden halo around them. If they're not good, then they get criticized really bad. So I can see why they would have jumped on maybe a Void Legendary. I mean, I don't know if they're going to care about this enough unless... Because the thing is, if you buff the champion or adjust him, then it's only going to affect the people who acquired him, and I don't think many people are going to go for this. I actually think there's some good epics in this fusion that are worth going for. I think Anchorite as a kit is the best one. I know some people have said Wuji can do some fun stuff, and I actually think Anchorite's the best one because you get one of the rare.
Wuji is the fool's gold,
Wuji's just going to die.
Only a fool will fall for it. So if I'm going to put Duchess Chris to keep her alive, and I can make... Let me put it like this. I can make any champion in the game to look OP, okay? I can make any champion look amazing, okay? But that doesn't mean that they're good, okay? If I want to troll the people and be like, okay, this champion destroys the clan boss. These champions deal so much damage in arena. This champion kills the Hydra alone. I can do that. And I can show you, I can give you damage to show you that. But that doesn't mean that the champion is good unless I'm actually giving you reasons for it. That champion is literally the fool's gold. That just because it can buff itself and actually have the veil, and you can give her some resistance to control the mischief head. You have so many other options out there that they can do the job better, and they're not at 10k base HP. And in order to actually counterattack, they need to have an AoE hit. Not all the heads in Hydra do AoE hits. The clan boss doesn't do AoE every single time, and all around is just the fool's gold champion. I
don't think you need that. I think she when she counterattacks, she AoE A1s. But
she uses the A1, but she needs to get a hit before. She needs to.
Yeah, but the hit can be anything. But if you use the A1, it's not It's not AoE. It's only if she attacks with the AoE. I actually think, now thinking of it, they've modeled that champion off the last Doom Tower legendary they just added. What's his name?
I'm not sure.
Jinro the Stalk, the one that we'll never get because it takes 3 years. He does the same thing. It's in some extent where once he counterattacks, he increases his own defense until he takes a turn. It's almost like they took him and just made it worse and then gave it 10k HP. I
just toned it down a bit. It's fine.
You want it to be 10k HP is that's lower than Ruel. And Ruel's pretty low. He's a legendary, but obviously you know what I mean. 10k.
The reason I said it needs AoE is because she's gonna be veiled, right? So a single target is not really gonna target her.
Yeah.
So that's why she's gonna need AoE attacks to counterattack because she's veiled, while the rest are not.
Yeah.
Which Hydra head's a single target? Because Mischief will ignore veil if you've got more buffs, right?
Yeah, Mischief will ignore whatever. Like all the Hydra heads kind of like ignore Veil, but then some of them they're not necessarily targeting one head, they're not all gonna go because it's the lowest HP. Some of them will, but it's still not an amazing champion though. Like
it doesn't really bring much, right?
Yeah, I would. There's so many other better options out there.
Yeah,
I would not recommend anyone to actually build that champion.
Just a word of warning: don't buy into what people say on YouTube, right?
Sometimes don't. Yeah. Like I don't know who said what around the champion now, but I've got a comment as well that Skratch. How can you miss this champion? Is so amazing for Hydra. And literally when I was talking the champion, I was like, guys, it's not great for Hydra. It might look that it's great for Hydra, but look at that base HP. It's gonna be so hard to keep this champion alive. And I have the gear
for the average player. That's the thing.
I have the gear to keep her alive with crazy champions next to her. It's fine. But the rest of the people, they're not gonna have the gear to build her with the resistance, with the damage, with the survivability to even matter in your team. Like
all you're gonna get is people building her out saying that they built her the exact same way that you did.
And it's not working.
And it's not working. How do I fix it?
Yeah. I mean, just as a context, so a clanmate of mine in our clan cluster was doing Nightmare Hydra. His previous best was about 40 million. And he came in with a post saying, "Oh, Nekmothar, I've just run him. He did 106 million in Nightmare." And then I was like, "Oh my god, Nekmothar must be really good." And then you look at the stats, and it's like, "Oh yeah, well you were running him at 300 speed and relentless with reflex, so with refresh accessory." So basically, he meant that he was basically power cycling his team like multiple times before the enemy heads even took a turn. It's a great strategy, but you've got to get 300 speed and relentless with that gear. So. Gear is always greater than champions in pretty much 99% of the situations. Whatever you spin it, just because you pull Heffrack doesn't mean you're going to go one-shot the enemy team if you haven't got the right lethal and savage gear to actually enable his kit. I can make, as you said, Fenax look like the best damage dealer in the game because I've got really good lethal gear. But if I give that Fenax to a mid-game player and they've got decent gear, they're going to be like, that like legendary hits harder. It's like, well, yeah, because comparatively speaking, my gear is overpowering the multipliers, so I can do that.
It makes it look better than it is in terms of accessibility to the broad.
Exactly. But I definitely think Anchorite is the one for people to look out for of all the epics, because it does give you that rare, I wouldn't say rare, but there's only so many champions that can do a extend buff on a 3-turn cooldown. So if you're looking to do some sort of extending that speed buff or extending some sort of ally protection within clan boss specifically, when you're running a 2-1 team, that is a component that, most people will want to use Godseeker, but that's a void epic. I think there's that rare one that people use with the Infinity comp with the Weaken, that basically will die even with a sniffle on it, because again, no HP because it's a rare. There's not actually that many good options outside of a few of them that wait until you get to legendary that can do that extend, but he also has an AoE A1, so that'll help you with progression, and I think he's got an increased crit rate and an increased something on
crit damage. Crit rate and crit damage, I think, or crit rate and attack, something like that. Either way, he's definitely the best fusion champion out of all of them,
Yeah, I mean, he's not that far off being as good as Skartosis. That was the champion I first pulled as a legendary, so as a concept, and he was always known to be like, when I pulled him, he's great progression. It's like, yeah, he is, but at the same time, he needs legendary books, where this guy only needs epic books. So I definitely think
sorry to interrupt you, out of all the epics, he only needs like 7 books, while all the others need 12 plus, because I actually booked all the epics. I wanted to make a video like with all 4 of them, but then I changed my mind. I said it's just not worth the effort. But basically, I booked all of them, and all of them were like 12 plus books. And he was the last one on the list to get booked. And I was like, okay, this one is going to take 12 too. Because in my mind, I was like, okay, all of them take over 12 books. But then I just clicked. I think there were like 7 or 8 books. And I was like, this was a nice surprise, kind of like, okay, I like that,
Yeah, I think the A2 is like 2 and the A3 is 2. So, and those are the 2 you want. But you get like a heal on the A1 as well. So I think absolutely he is one of the better ones. And of course, make sure you get your Jamasa, because totally working as intended, right? That we didn't. Nobody knows.
They know about it, but
they've kind of said, what is it? We'll fix it in the near future.
Yeah, it'll be fixed very quickly. But yeah, so let's wrap it up there, guys. Podcast's gone on way longer than intended, but that's fine, because it's always good to share a nice conversation with you guys. For anyone watching on YouTube, if you do enjoy the content that we put on the channel, please do like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Make sure that you head on over to Skratch's channel as well. I'm sure anyone within our community anyway knows who you are, Skratch, but there will be a link below. And obviously, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And yeah, we will see everyone in another video soon.